How's it hanging, dudes? My name is Sean, and welcome back to Humanity First and another Yang video. That's right, man. Wolf Blitzer gets it in this video. Not really so bad. I mean, you can just tell that it seems like he's just reading off a teleprompter like a robot. Ah, man, and Yang just expertly answers each question like he always does. But I think you might like this. And before we get into the clip, let me just go ahead and say we have this. This is the newest design for the merch. The other ones wasn't so good. People don't like them, and you have like less than 24 hours to get the other ones ordered. If not, I think they'll be gone forever, and I can't even guarantee that the ones after the day will be eligible for shipping. But these are the permanent ones so far. The competition's still going on, so get your designs in if you guys want. Those who get a design in will get a special code for along with a free piece of merch, with their design on it or whatever one they want. So, get in with that, guys. And I might have a promo code coming out soon for November and Christmas. So anyway, let's get on with the video. All right, so try not to laugh too hard at Wolf Blitzer. I know it's hard not to. Sorry for my chair creaking. It's a little rusty. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's just go ahead and play the clip, and you'll see what I mean.
Yang, who's also a businessman. Thanks very much, Andrew, for joining us. So let me start with the breaking news and get your reaction. Michael Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York, thinking seriously of jumping in to the Democratic primary. What do you think?
Well, he's a phenomenal entrepreneur and businessman. I will say that I think it'd be very tough for someone to jump into the race at this point in time. I'm here in New Hampshire, and I've been here now over 20 times, getting to know the voters of New Hampshire. I just wouldn't envy anyone who tried to get into the race at this late juncture.
Because I suspect he's very uneasy with the current field of Democratic candidates. He's worried. This is what I've heard from some of his associates over these past few weeks as these rumors were starting. He's worried that the current field might not be able to beat the incumbent president. What do you think?
Well, the burden's on us to present a new way forward and a new vision for the country that gets people excited. That's what's going to help solve the problems that got Donald Trump into office in the first place, and that's what it'll take to beat him in 2020 in the general election. I plan to be that candidate.
Snoop Dogg! So tell us why you think, if let's say he jumps in hypothetically, Andrew, why you think you'd be a better candidate than Michael Bloomberg, who spent a couple terms as the mayor of New York City and by all accounts was widely respected and did well.
I admire Michael's work a great deal. He and I have actually met. But to me, the focus has to be on solving the problems that got Donald Trump elected in the first place. We're going through the greatest economic transformation in our country's history. We started with decimating millions of manufacturing jobs, and now we're heading to retail, transportation, call centers. And to me, the focus has to be on these problems. I know that Michael understands technology in the future, but I haven't seen him present real solutions beyond retraining that, from the data I've seen, will not be effective for the majority of Americans, particularly those who are a bit older, who are being forced to transition.
He's worth billions and billions of dollars. You say it might be too late. He doesn't have to worry about raising money. He's got billions. If he wants to self-fund his campaign, he could easily do that. That's an advantage, right?
Oh, well, for sure. But we already have one billionaire in the race, and we're seeing the limits of what money can do. As someone who's now been campaigning for a number of months, again, there's no substitute for meeting people in their homes or union halls or places of business or worship, and getting the chance to meet people over the last number of months has, to me, been the lifeblood of my campaign. And I think it's very, very hard to substitute that with money.
Yang gives these expert answers, man. I mean, excuse me, but Bloomberg is a smart man, but he's also corrupt. He's running for the corporations, and it's pretty obvious. He's not really running for party, let alone the people. And yes, he's a billionaire, and yes, he's only running, and he only running because he doesn't like the other candidates, and that's true what Blitzer's saying, but he's only saying that because half of them can't be bought and paid for. Yang can't be bought and paid for, Tulsi Gabbard can't be bought and paid for, Bernie kind of can't be bought and paid for, except for he supported Hillary Clinton, which is, that's on him. And Elizabeth Warren is, so I think that's the reason why he's running. You know what I'm saying? Let's just be honest about that. But Bloomberg aside, that's kind of a softball question. Let's keep rolling.
You just wrapped up a town hall in New Hampshire. You're out there very actively on the campaign trail. Let me ask you this: what are you hearing from voters about impeachment?
Wolf, I get very, very few questions about impeachment. And the fact is, when we're talking about Donald Trump, we are not presenting a new vision that's getting people excited. The voters here in New Hampshire see it the same way I do, which is that impeachment will not help move the country forward, and talking about Donald Trump is a loser for Democrats, even if it's in the context of impeaching him.
If the House of Representatives, Andrew, were to vote to impeach the president by Christmas, the trial in the Senate would likely begin in January. That's right before the Iowa caucuses, right before the New Hampshire primary. Do you worry about that dominating the news and the race for the Democratic nomination becoming a distraction?
I do. I think that would be terrible timing for the Democratic field. And we have to face facts that not a single Republican crossed the aisle for the House impeachment vote. And if that plays out in the Senate, then Donald Trump is likely to not be successfully impeached. I expect him to be there for me to defeat at the ballot box in 2020.
Snoop Dogg! Would you like to see impeachment wrapped up on an expedited timeline, or should the House take its time to lay out all the alleged wrongdoing by the president?
I think the sooner the better, and then we can get our focus back to beating Donald Trump if he's still there, which I expect him to be. So if the timeline plays out where half the Democratic field is in D.C. listening to testimony through the crucial month of January, I don't think that's a good thing.
Wow. Impeachment again. Who would have thought? This is CNN, right? Yeah, it's so sad. I mean, they just ignore the fact that nobody cares about impeachment. Literally every single candidate is saying nobody's bringing it up at town halls. There's no questions about impeachment. Yang is telling him this, and he just skips over it and keeps asking, well, so what do you think would be the best blah, blah, blah? Like, nobody cares about the impeachment. They're not saying that we like Donald Trump or anything like that. Yes, he deserves his just desserts, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, when you're already proven to be biased, that just lends your credibility out the window. It's people question if you're doing it just to get him out of office or whether you think he's actually doing something wrong. There's a difference there, and they violate, journalistic ethics 101. You know what I mean? Like it's just, CNN, you're sad, man. You're sad, and you give Trump so much more airtime. It just helps him, and I don't know why you guys do that, man. It's so sad. Anyway, let's just go ahead and play the last part of the clip in its entirety.
Let's talk a little bit more about the campaign. As you know, Elizabeth Warren's rise in the polls is being met with some rather sharp criticism from Joe Biden, who slammed her Medicare for All plan, accused her of being an elitist. You've called Warren's plan overly optimistic, but do you think it's fair to call her an elitist?
Well, that's certainly not a term I would use. We have to focus on people's actual ideas and policies for the country and not get caught in attacks about someone's background. To me, I said it was overly optimistic because one of our primary funding mechanisms is a wealth tax. That when a wealth tax was tried in France and Germany and Denmark and Sweden, they repealed it because it couldn't meet the optimistic revenue projections. I don't see any reason to expect that it would meet those projections here in the U.S. when it didn't work in those countries.
You have a Medicare for All plan that would give people still the option of keeping private health insurance. Do you see your plan as closer to Elizabeth Warren's or Joe Biden's?
Well, I think it takes the best of both worlds, Wolf. The fact is, the burden has to be on our government to demonstrate to the American people that any Medicare plan or public plan is a better alternative to the existing insurance programs. And if we can demonstrate that, then people will vote with their dollars and with their feet, and we can squeeze out private insurers over time. But if we can't demonstrate that, then American consumers will make the choices that are best for them and their families. And unlike Elizabeth Warren, I do not believe that every American hates their insurance company. I think that there are some Americans who actually are quite attached and happy with their coverage.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who like their private health insurance. You're going to share the debate stage, November 20th in Atlanta, Georgia, with 9 other Democrats. You've qualified for that debate. You haven't yet qualified for the Democratic presidential debate in December. I think that's going to be in Los Angeles. If you don't make it, what will that mean for your campaign?
Oh, we're going to make it, Wolf. And as you know, we just put down a 7-figure ad buy in Iowa. Our polls are all heading up to the right. We've made every debate very comfortably. I'll be on the stage in November and December and January and February and the entire way through the winter and the spring.
A very confident Andrew Yang joining us here in the Situation Room. Andrew, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck out there on the campaign trail.
Thanks, Wolf. See you soon.
All right, definitely. All right, let's get back to the breaking news.
Dude, Yang expertly turned that last question around. But man, that impeachment thing is getting rough. They need to drop that. They really need to drop that. It's getting sad, and I don't know, man. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. But yeah, poor Wolf Blitzer, man. I don't think they didn't really have good comebacks, for Andrew Yang. He's just kind of knocked them all out of the park. You know what I mean? I just feel like they just set these announcers up, these talking heads up for like golf balls on a tee, and Andrew Yang just smacks them away. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you like, subscribe, ring that bell. All the YouTube stuff. I gotta say it. Check out the merch. Think you guys will like it. Get your submissions in. We're gonna have more. And yeah, see you guys later. Have a good day.
1, 2, 3.